Dolly Parton is a whore master, or what do they call it?
That's your cold open for the end of time. Dolly Parton is a whore master. Boom! The launch song. Podcast begins.
Welcome to SinCast, presented by CinemaSins.
All right, everybody, welcome to the SinCast. This is Chris Atkinson from CinemaSins, joined as always by the voice of CinemaSins, Jeremy Scott.
Ha!
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Kevin!
And for Music Video Sins, Barry Scher.
Howdy.
And today we're going to go back on our road trip.
A road trip.
Shotgun.
On the road again.
The most time-honored tradition of all, the road trip. Oh, the places you'll go.
Are we there yet?
No.
Are we there yet?
No.
Are we there yet?
No.
We're going to go to Texas. This is probably part one, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
probably.
I think so.
Yeah.
There's a few.
This
There
might be a
was
three-parter.
Yeah, Texas, if you didn't know, is huge. It's bigger than some countries.
That's true. Yes. Everything's bigger in Texas.
Yeah. Let's go to the first one, American Sniper.
Ooh, this is not a very Texas movie, I guess. Is it?
I mean, it's everything that's not in Iraq is in Texas. Yeah.
I guess it just, I guess it for me more feels like a American Southwest movie than a Texas movie. But
True, yeah.
I didn't like this movie very much.
I've gone back and forth about this movie because I think I like it better. I think I've seen it twice and I liked it better the second time.
I think it's a good movie if it's trying to explore PTSD and mental health.
I think that's kind of,
And I think it's a bad movie if it's trying to explore Army heroism.
I don't think it is. At least that's what I got from the second viewing. I don't think it is. I think it is more concerned with the after effects and how it.
I remember thinking,
him.
I only saw it the once. I remember thinking Bradley Cooper did a great job, particularly with the PTSD stuff and how uncomfortable he was with the hero stuff, which is a little weird because the movie's based on the book the guy wrote about himself.
Yep.
And
that's a complicated story.
Well,
man.
yeah, and a lot of people came out afterwards saying this guy wasn't conflicted about killing people at all.
Yeah.
You know, who knows?
But even so, you're still going to have those after effects. And he definitely had the documented proof that he was working with guys in the VA and stuff like that. And matter of fact, he was trying to like shoot with a veteran when he got killed.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the way that I took it was that it was more, at least Eastwood is trying to really hammer that in, is that it's not Djangoism or anything like that. It's that this is the after effects of a guy that can do, what is it, like 160 kills or something like that.
Yeah, and there are some truly tense moments in this.
Absolutely.
And you know, is it complicated? It's also complicated to talk about these movies where they're thrilling as well.
Mm-hmm.
When somebody is a sniper and they're killing somebody on a side that we've demonized.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that's it's like, wow, that was thrilling, but that was somebody's life. That's somebody who thought they were fighting for the right side, you know, and all that. War movies are complicated that way. When you get that,
especially when they're based on a true story.
Yeah, when you get into stuff like Saving Private Ryan and you get into all these movies that make war action, and yes, when it becomes based on a real story, that's where it's hard to figure out what you really need to, how you need to experience that movie. But yes, it's thrilling because of the way he goes about his business in this thing. Some of that has been trumped up a little bit, but yeah, I really like this movie. Yeah, I see what you're saying on a lot of that, though.
I'll tell you who's good in this movie, Sienna Miller.
Yeah.
I think she's an underrated actress.
She is. You would see her in that, what was that Andy Warhol movie she was in?
Was that it? That wasn't an Interview. That was Factory Girl.
Factory Girl.
Yeah, that's what it was.
That was one of her sort of comeback, like she's a serious actress type of movies that came out and everything. And since then, she's unrecognizable in this movie. She's got like contacts or something that she's got like different eye color or something. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, she is really good in this.
And she was also in G.I. Joe, Rise of the Cobra.
She was in that
fantastic
classic.
in that.
She was in that classic.
She's the Baroness.
She's the one who came up.
God, she was poured into that suit that she was wearing, and it was glorious.
She's a fine filly.
Yes, she's a fine filly. Yeah, what did you think of it? You like American Sniper, right?
Yeah, I think it's actually a very well done movie. Maybe like of the latter day Clint Eastwood movies, probably like towards the top.
Just under Trouble with the Curve.
Oh yeah. This made gobs of money. I think it was number 1 in 2015.
Yeah,
it made
that's
like
wild.
$200 and something million, and
Sure
it was
did.
the number 1 box office draw.
Was it over the summer or was it Christmas?
It was a Christmas release. I
I
think.
thought so. So that's crazy. That's
Yeah.
a crazy amount of money in a short amount of time. Yeah, it was December 25th.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it ended up being the top film of it. Well, it wasn't 2015 then. It was 2014.
Right. Yeah.
2014.
2014.
Yeah. Then we have American, the Bill Hicks story. This is stand-up comic Bill Hicks. I think I have seen this.
Mm-hmm.
Because Bill Hicks was a complicated stand-up comedian because he was one of those guys who did not pursue fame.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's a comics comic.
believed in integrity over everything. Dennis Leary's been accused of stealing his act and everything. There's a dark joke about how like Dennis Leary has that special called No Cure for Cancer, which came out in like 92 or something like that. Bill Hicks, who died of cancer in the 90s, there's a joke that says, why isn't Bill Hicks a bigger comedian than Dennis Leary? Because there's no cure for cancer.
Okay.
That's a dark joke.
Yeah, he was one of those that I guess you would pattern after like Lenny Bruce or somebody like that, maybe.
Yeah,
but-
very politically incorrect and all that stuff.
Yes. And he was hit or miss for me.
This guy is like a hero to people who are into comedy. I never got into his stuff.
Yeah, I've never found a one particular stretch where he's told jokes where, like, I was just dying or anything.
You know what he is to me? Yes, he's very reminiscent of Dennis Leary, but like he's more of like a Dennis Miller type of dude to me. Like acerbic to the point where he's buying into his own bullshit too much. And I feel like if you're going to be, I guess the comics that I really dig, there's got to be some sort of self-deprecation in there to where, where they're undercutting themselves to where, they're entertaining you and they're not propping you up. I think that's why we get such disappointments from like super successful comedians because they just talk about how rich they are, like the latter day Chappelle stuff or Amy Schumer or stuff like that. Like, well, I was on my third butler today. That kind of thing. It's like, I don't want to hear that.
It doesn't feel like you're writing to stay or to get into the business anymore.
Yeah.
You're just, the stuff that got you there, you're not doing that anymore.
Yeah, you want to hear Dave Chappelle talk about 3 a.m. in the ghetto in D.C., you know? And like the crazy shit that goes down there. You don't want to hear about like his views on trans people or something like that. I don't give a fuck. I just tell jokes. And that to me is where Bill Hicks just seemed like he was too self-entitled. It's not like he was talking about how famous he was or how successful. He just seemed like just a little too entitled to me.
But yeah, the documentary, I think basically, and I don't know if I've seen this or not. I have seen something on Bill Hicks before, but basically shows like how many times he was this close to being a huge comic, but then he would always do something to derail it. But he would do stuff where he would get on stage and like would just ramble incoherently and stuff like that, and would just kill all of his momentum. And then he would come out and claim that he just didn't want to have all that anyway. Like they're like, people are asking me to do TV shows and doing all these ads, and I've turned them all down. He loves telling those type of things. So. Do you remember anything about the documentary? It was a decent one, I think.
Yeah, no, it's a very good documentary. I'm just not really a fan of his content, so it wasn't like a huge hit for me.
Yeah. Then we have Bats. There's no exclamation point, but there should be.
Is that what I think it is?
Yeah, that's the one with Daniel Day Diamond Phillips.
Lou Diamond Phillips.
Simon Phillips.
And it has Dina Meyer in it too. Love me some Dina Meyer.
Yeah.
I accidentally said Billy Joel Osment the other day,
Yeah.
and that created a funny mental picture.
This movie came out in 1999. I do believe we were at Hollywood 27 when this came out. It's got a 3.7 on the IMDb.
That's too high.
I can't remember anything about this movie.
God,
was it about bats?
Yes, it is. They're attacking. They're living in a cave, I think outside of Austin or somewhere in Texas, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And they're killer bats. Like they get disturbed by a spelunker. And then they're out for blood.
They get disturbed.
Band?
Yeah, this is like, I don't know if they were trying to make it like a Trimmer style B movie, or like if it just came off as like a D movie, or like if they were really trying at all. It's awful.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
All right.
Then we have Bernie, Richard Linklater movie. One of the lesser known Richard Linklater movies. Has Jack Black, and is there another Bernie?
Oh no,
this is it. And
Okay.
he's great in it.
Yeah, I've never seen this actually.
This is a terrific movie.
It is, and I think it's sneaky unsettling because you watch it and it just feels like a movie, and then you get done and you're like, that was a real dude.
They show a picture of him at the end, I
Like
think.
he really was like that.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, what have I allowed into my life? Like, it's dark as hell.
Oh, fuck yeah.
He's like a funeral director. Everybody loves him. He has a really old girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Really old.
Yes.
That's really all I want to say about it. It's one of the strangest and best Jack Black performances ever.
It's so good, man. I was describing this to my parents just recently because they hadn't seen it. I was trying to contextualize it, and I said kind of similar to what you said. And I was like, it just takes these I guess some of it is Richard Linklater, like how he tells this story non-sequentially sometimes, and he really sets up the character himself. He lets Jack Black play within this role. I wrote that sin about in House with the Clock in Its Walls about Jack Black because he's doing his regular Jack Black shit in that movie. And the sin was like, this is doubly disappointing because you could see how good he is in a non-traditional Jack Black role.
Yeah.
And to see him just kind of like play the hits, it's like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
If you're not trying, why I don't care.
Now, I'm not sure everybody will like it, but I'm sure it's good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And creepy.
And I've seen nearly every Richard Linklater movie, and this one slipped by me.
It is a weird entry in his catalog, but he's got a couple of weird
Well, yeah, he's
entries.
got Newton Boys, for instance.
We're going to get there.
Yeah, he is an Austin filmmaker. I believe
Oh, yeah.
nearly all of his things are set there. Then we have, I've never seen this, believe it or not, The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. I've never seen this.
Well, I don't think you're missing all that much.
Oh, come on. Dolly Parton is a whore master. Or what do they call it?
That's your cold open for the end of time. Dolly Parton is a whore master. Boom. The launch song. Podcast begins.
You ass-face cockmaster!
It's a whore master. I want that as my ringtone.
What do they call us? The brothel
She's
people.
a madam.
She's the master of whores.
AKA the whore master.
Yes.
They're not horses. They're women.
That would be, that's a movie, Whore Master.
It's part half Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, part Hellraiser.
Yeah, yes, it is.
This, I think this is back in the 70s. No, it was
came out
82.
in 1982.
Yeah, Dolly Parton and Burt Reynolds. He's like a lawman or something like that, or a lawyer or something like that, or a politician. And he's got a relationship with Dolly Parton in secret. And she's running this whorehouse, and it's kind of like, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We'll let them do it, even though it's against the law and all that stuff. And it's just this nice little fun caricature
We
of
put the spring in Springfield. You remember that episode?
yeah, it's this is one of those that you can't help but fall in love with Dolly Parton movies.
Yeah, it's also one of those all-time Simpsons memes too,
Yeah.
because Bart is in there in the whorehouse, and Abe, the grandpa comes in, like puts his hat on the thing, and then takes his hat and then goes right out.
Did your father know you're here? Yes. Oh, okay. And then Grandpa State.
Yeah.
Charles Durning was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. in this
I'll be
role.
damned. I had no idea. I didn't know this was a movie that got any kind of well, it's the only one it got a nomination for.
Yeah.
Then we have Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk, which I believe is Ang Lee.
It
Yeah,
is
it is.
Ang Lee.
And I haven't seen it. It came out a couple years ago.
you seen this?
I'm on the verge of ready to call it the worst Ang Lee movie ever.
It is.
He did this. He went for something.
Yes. Yes.
And honestly, this is why I like Ang Lee, and this is the same thing I've always said about his Hulk, is that he swung big for something that had not been done, and it didn't quite work.
Mm-hmm.
But you see what he was going for with Hulk, and you can see what he's here. It's like a special camera immersion technology thing where you feel like you're the main character at certain points through this film, but it's just really bland.
It is at its core.
Warmed
Yeah, yeah.
over drama.
I mean, it's a compelling story. It's all about PTSD. Again.
Well, again, I'm talking
I
about
know
the
what you're
movie,
saying. Yeah,
not
yeah,
the
yeah.
people in it.
I wonder how it would have played in the theater with that perspective. I saw it, after it came out. But it is an interesting story. I think he tells it just standardly. Basically, maybe he's more focused on the technique and less focused on
Well, that's the
how to
thing.
convey
I
it.
think he got a little wrapped up in the technology. This is what happens to James Cameron a lot. A little wrapped up in a cool
Or
technology
Zemeckis.
to the detriment of the story. Sudden Vin Diesel. If you haven't seen this movie,
he's the dude that.
Yeah. He's basically he's doing the Steven Seagal and executive decision in this movie. I didn't know he was in this. Oh, he's dead.
Yeah.
Oh, this is also Taylor Swift's guy, the guy that's in the Favorite, Joe Alwyn, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I didn't enjoy it, and I'm always going to watch an Ang Lee movie.
Me too.
Because he more often than not gets it right, and when he gets it right,
Yeah. Then we have one of the Coen brothers considered one of their best films of all time, Blood Simple. It's also their first movie, I believe. It's at least their first major film that they came out with.
because Miller's Crossing was after this.
Yes. Actually, I think it's this, then it's Raising Arizona, and then it's Miller's Crossing.
Yeah.
Blood Simple is really good, although it's hard to get people to really like. I don't know. There's a lot of people who don't like this movie.
Really? Oh, it's such a fun
it's
little,
so well
concise movie story.
Yeah, it's so
Movie
well
story?
done.
Movie story.
Yeah. It's the whore master of Coen Brothers movies.
There are movie shows. But
Yeah. It's not told in the classic Coen style that we'd see later, although there are there's some shots in there, especially the one across the bar that's just goes over the glass and everything like that. That's very Coen brothery. But there's not a lot of humor. There's a lot they sort of pepper stuff with humor now. That movie doesn't have very much humor in it. But Frances McDormand in an early role, great. Emmett Walsh, who's always awesome.
I love that guy.
This movie is a high recommend for me if you haven't seen Blood Simple. I think we've talked about it before, but especially if you like any Coen Brothers movie, you should see this one. This is their first. So
What's the worst Coen Brothers movie off the top of your head?
Intolerable
Cruelty.
Yeah.
I knew there was one that stuck out like a sore
Intolerable
thumb.
Cruelty's up there, and and I like the Lady Killers, but I can't defend it. It's probably down there too.
Other than that, it really.
I know Burn After Reading just kind of was a blip, but I think in
love that
hindsight
movie.
it's become
Well,
love.
Burn
yeah.
After Reading is kind of has the trajectory of The Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
And in fact, they're so similar in how they came out, because Big Lebowski came out after Fargo, and so they had all these accolades about Fargo, and then they came out with The Big Lebowski. Nobody watched that movie, but everybody who did formed the cult for that movie. Then they did No Country for Old Men and got a whole bunch of accolades. Their next movie was Burn After Reading.
Yeah, totally different things.
Yeah. And Burn After Reading is great.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
I love
awesome.
it.
But yeah, high recommend for Blood Simple. Then another debut, Wes Anderson's Bottle Rocket, which is fantastic.
I like it a lot.
Love Bottle Rocket. This one is Owen Wilson and Luke Wilson. Owen Wilson's he's like a voluntary psychiatric patient or something like that, I think. Or if he's not,
no, it's Luke Wilson is in the psychiatric facility, right?
Yeah, I guess it is Luke Wilson that's in the psychiatric, and then Owen Wilson comes in.
He comes
and
does Dignan,
and Dignan pretends to break him out, even though it's his last day there. They have this whole thing where he's free that day, but he still ties like a whole bunch of bed sheets together, get out of the window and everything.
This is one of the best Owen Wilson performances, if not the best.
Isn't there other brother in this too? Isn't there another Wilson?
Yes,
in this?
Andrew Wilson.
Yes.
Yeah. Who pops up in a lot of surprising, like, you like, oh, really? He's in that? He was in Whip It. He was the coach in Whip It.
Oh, wow.
Whip It.
Whip It. And he shows up in a lot of the Wilson brothers movies, but then there's a whole thing where they get on the bus and Owen Wilson starts showing him like his like 20-year plan or whatever. And
it's
like
a 75-year plan.
Yeah, he's written all these notes down in a notebook. And Luke Wilson's like, oh man, you wrote it all down and everything. It looks like, Owen Wilson's going through this like page after page of like stuff. They decide that they're going to try to rob this like factory of some sort or whatever. But in between all that, there's a thing with James Caan, and they have a buddy. There's a buddy of theirs. I don't remember that guy's name. But they end up running into James Caan, and James Caan with his crew ends up stealing everything out of that guy's house.
Yeah.
And then they have to, I think they end up making this plan based off of that or whatever.
Yeah.
Owen Wilson is great in this. This is definitely one of his best.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he's killing it. You'll fall in love with this character. He's so delusional and he's so enthusiastic. It's almost like a good version of me and Dupree.
Oh yeah.
He's a manic pixie dream brother.
Yeah. There's a whole section in this where they're at a motel. And like Luke Wilson ends up falling in love with one of the maids that are there, Inez.
Yes, yeah.
And like there's a whole big section in there, and I guess that's they're on their way to wherever they're going. And the guy who's their friend has the car or whatever. That's the reason why he's basically in on this. He's got a car.
Yeah, this is funny because like Inez and a few of the other ones like have that classic Wes Anderson deadpan type of thing.
Yeah.
But everybody else, like Luke Wilson and Owen Wilson in this movie, are very like kinetic and charismatic and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's really his hallmark, because something like Grand Budapest Hotel, you've got this really charismatic Ralph Fiennes character, and everybody else around him, like Zero and like all that, are just, super deadpan.
It does seem like that happens a lot.
Royal Tenenbaums is the same
everybody
way.
in that movie's dour as fuck.
But there's a part at the beginning where they have a heist of a bookstore or something like that.
I think they do like a practice heist.
Yeah, it's a practice heist, and there's a point where Owen Wilson sticks a piece of tape or a Band-Aid on his nose, and it's not a disguise at all. They're like, "Why do you have that piece of tape on your nose?" He's like, "Exactly."
Oh god damn.
If you like Wes Anderson, you'll like this movie. You may have not have heard of this movie.
This is a good entry into his stuff.
Because Rushmore is, I think, a lot of people's entryway into Wes Anderson, and they may not have known that this one came out before. And I think he made a short film, Bottle Rocket, before he made the full.
Yes.
Oh, it's like Frankenweenie.
Yeah, it's just like Frankenweenie. It's in the production note somewhere, like, do this like Frankenweenie. But another big recommend there, Bottle Rocket. And then we have Bubba Hotep.
Oh, I saw this once and really liked it.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Did you not?
I did not.
Interesting.
It's weird. It's a weird movie.
It was right in my wheelhouse with my love of Bruce.
Oh, I love Bruce Campbell, but it's just a weird.
Isn't Ozzie Davis?
Yeah, Ozzie Davis.
I remember just liking the idea of it. That it's like Cocoon meets Evil Dead.
Yeah.
It's like the geezers have to step up. I remember liking it, but I did only see it the one time. Doesn't Bruce Campbell play like an Elvis impersonator?
Yes.
He's supposedly Elvis reincarnated.
And,
okay. Great.
And Ozzie Davis, does he think he's JFK?
Yes.
Yeah, he thinks he's JFK. But I haven't seen this since it came out, but I do remember liking this. It is a movie that they're trying to make a B movie. So there is some like too much awareness going on, but it's perfectly good.
Not as much as that TV show they started. Didn't they do a TV show?
Ash versus the Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it.
Well, and then there's a TV show with Jean-Claude Van Damme playing himself, kicking people's asses. Jean-Claude Van Damme Saves the World.
Yeah. I think Ash versus Evil Dead is perfectly in line with that brand.
Yeah, it's not quite the same.
Yeah, because Army of Darkness is as aware as it gets too. But it may be even more aware, like does the inside joke thing and all that. I've only seen one episode of Ash vs. Evil Dead. Then there is the Buddy Holly story. I've never seen this.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's good. Gary Busey won the Oscar for it.
Oh, this is the movie I was thinking of last week when y'all were talking about Great Balls of Fire.
And this is
well, yeah.
This is before the reason why a lot of people explain how Gary Busey is the way he is today is because he had a car accident or whatever. This is before that.
Yes.
So this is before the so-called crazy Gary Busey that we know or whatever. And I would hate to, call him that.
No, I mean, that's his brand.
He leaned into it with the Entourage stuff.
He did. But he was nominated for an Oscar for this.
He won it.
He won it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This is 78.
Okay. No, he was a nominee. He didn't win it.
Oh, I could have sworn he won it. What? I wonder who won that year.
It was probably like Dustin Hoffman.
Chris Christopherson.
What about him?
I just sang names.
I think in 1979, although this came out in 78. John Voight for Coming Home won it that year.
Fuck that,
John
man.
Voight, the dentist?
Yes, the dentist. He stopped short.
But yeah, this is a fine movie. It's a rock and roll biopic.
Yeah,
he died in a car,
plane
crash.
You watch one of them, you've watched them all.
Yeah. And then there's Committed. Heather Graham, Luke Wilson, Casey Affleck. I remember it coming out or being a video, straight to video, whatever. I think I remember seeing the video cover for this.
Heather Graham is stalking Luke Wilson, like as he moves to Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And she ends up being, I guess, psychiatrically having a psychiatric disorder. Hence the title.
Yes.
And I haven't seen it in forever, but I remember it being a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Heather Graham is the queen of these movies.
She really is. And it's a shame because I think she's better than that.
Yeah.
Like, and I always go back to Scrubs, but she had this great turn as almost a season's worth.
Yeah.
As a psychiatrist in Scrubs, and she was terrific in that. And I've seen her be good. I mean, Boogie Nights, obviously she's playing a very one-note character, but like, I feel like she's got some talent there. And she's in shit like Committed.
She definitely
does. Or I
does.
Fuck My Sister, whatever that is.
Oh, yeah. I Fuck My Sister. This is a good one.
Yeah.
What was the name?
It was a short film first, and then they turned it into
yeah,
a feature.
exactly. Just like, yes.
What is the name of it? All in the Family? What is the sister fucking?
Say it ain't so. Say it ain't so.
Oh, God.
But if you were to go through Heather Graham's filmography, you would see tons of stuff like you've never heard of before.
Mm-hmm.
And she's usually the main star in it, but like it's just
There's one playing now on Cinemax Stars or Showtime, one of them, about a hurricane in Louisiana, and a cop is trying to solve something, and she's like in this movie with no one else that makes any sense. I watched like 20 minutes of it just because I was like, how did this come about? Anyway, yeah, she's got quite the filmography.
Wasn't she in something called like Fun Without Dick or something like that? It was something like that. Like there's a name of a movie called Fun with Dick or something like that. And it's supposed to be, like, oh, that's such a double entendre, isn't it? But, and it's about an ex-boyfriend or something. What was that? Was that her?
Was it called Dick Fun with my ex-boyfriend Dick?
It's called Dick Fun, yes.
Touch Me, I'm Dick?
Without Dick. Life Without Dick had Sarah Jessica Parker in it.
Ah. Ooh.
Yeah.
Fresh off of Miami Rhapsody. I don't know. She wronged me.
But if you told me Heather Graham was in that movie, I would totally.
yes.
Then we have the Counselor, Ridley Scott movie. I never saw this.
Do you remember this movie? Everybody was in this movie.
Then no.
Okay, Ridley Scott. It was 2013, I think. It had Michael Fassbender, Cameron Diaz, Javier Bardem, Penelope Cruz, Brad Pitt, Rosie Perez, Natalie Dormer, Ruben Blades, Goran Visnich. There was a ton of people in this, and it was Fassbender is like a mob counselor or something like that, and there's all these crazy characters.
That's why they
around
chose
here.
that title.
Yeah, it's a weird. I don't remember much about it, but everybody who's in this movie is Ridley Scott. Why didn't this get more?
Cormac McCarthy wrote the script for it.
Wow.
Yes,
He wrote an original screenplay, I guess, for this because it's not based on any of his books. I don't even remember this coming out actually. So.
I don't either, but that's a terrible title, and that's why the movie flopped.
Yeah,
Because it sounds like a boring legal. They could have called it Dick Fun, and it would have probably made more money.
Yeah, but there's so many. Yeah, there's so many movies that are like I'll never understand why they just decide to call it.
I don't know,
like this type of stuff.
Well, it's a forgettable movie.
Never will stand out.
Even though there's so many super high wattage stars in this, it's a totally forgettable movie.
Do you ever wonder, maybe the actors are saying, yes, keep this being called The Counselor because it'll be hard to find on my phone.
I wouldn't be
It might
surprised
be.
at all if that happens every now and then.
Yeah. Because if you call it, Fun with Dick or whatever, it would be memorable. Then we have Crazy Heart. That's the Jeff Bridges. He won an Oscar for that.
He did.
I have trouble with movies like this. Not because they're super bad or anything like that. It's just that it's a performance piece. It's basically a vehicle by which Jeff Bridges gets his Oscar.
Mm-hmm.
There's
and
not,
he's in Rooster Cogburn mode.
Yeah, there's not
Bad
much
Blake.
else to it. You don't remember much about Crazy Heart other than maybe some songs.
And that my lab assistant was the bartender in that.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I remember you talking about that.
I actually remember a lot. Because T-Bone Burnett did the music for it.
Yeah.
Music's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a Star is Born with that Lady Gaga.
I was going to say, I love the part when Crazy Heart sings, "In the shallow, la 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 lowly."
Yeah, that's so weird. That's so weird when that happens. I guess they licensed it for Star is Born.
I guess.
Nobody got sued.
The Colin Farrell is the other guy that wants to.
Right, I've totally forgotten that.
Yeah. No, I mean it's good. He is excellent in this.
Yeah.
He's excellent in everything.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't actually watch the speech for the Cecil B. DeMille Award thing for Golden Globes, but I always like seeing those filmography things, the opening for it. Of course, not 90%, but a good 35% of that was all Big Lebowski stuff, which was crazy. It's like the guy's he's got other things.
Yeah. Then we have The Devil's Rejects.
Oh boy.
This is Rob Zombie, and it is, I believe, considered his masterpiece.
Probably is.
By whom?
There are a lot of people out there who
You're like a Southern preacher, getting warmed up. Let me tell you something, people.
who love this movie, and I think there's been some sequels since too.
Oh, well, this itself was a sequel.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking because it was supposed to be a sequel to House of a Thousand Corpses,
Also in Texas.
And I remember watching this, and I didn't remember House of a Thousand Corpses really that much, so I didn't realize there was any sort of connection to it. House of a Thousand Corpses took 3 years to come out because we had trailers for it 3 years before
Really?
it came out.
Yeah, we did.
And it had that dude from Saving Private Ryan who ends up being Matt Damon, older version, or whatever. Yeah. And I just remember every time that trailer would come on and it would cut to him and he'd be like, "This is insane." That was all that would happen. So I didn't like that movie. And then Devil's Rejects, I saw this, and this is that 4-movie marathon I had that one night. Yeah, that Bad News Bears, The Island, Hustle and Flow, and this.
What a weird.
Wow.
Yeah, they all came out at the same time. And I didn't like this at all, and there are some people who just love it. So I'm not in that boat of
Me
people
neither.
who
You have to really enjoy sick mentalities for this. Like it's sick imagery, sick like amusement of like grossness and stuff like that. I'm just not down with it.
Yeah,
It's not my cup of tea, but I am willing to let you enjoy your cup of tea all the way over there.
If you're modern horrors, if you're Luke Rodriguez who takes his date to like the brutal, like first date to the most brutal horror movie.
Yes.
Did you see the tweet he made about? I can't wait to see this thing they're making because I guess they've had a relatively high number of people be told how gross this movie is, sign on, and then get on set or read the script and leave the project because it's too gross.
Oh my god!
And he was like, his tweet was like, "We've warned everybody about how far this is going to go, but they still can't wrap their minds around it until they get." I'm very curious about what they're going to do.
Yeah, I think I will lift my gross embargo and watch that movie.
Yeah. I mean, if it's a friend that makes something sick, then you have to watch it.
Gotta support the team.
Don't Look Back, which is a TV movie from 1996 starring Eric Stoltz. I never saw this. What is it? It's about drug addict.
I'm sure it is.
Oh yeah, this is a tough movie.
Yeah.
It's Eric Stoltz, but then there's a decent cast in
John
John Corbett, Josh Hamilton who played
Billy
Grover
Bob,
and
Annabeth Gish, Dwight
King
Yoakam,
Scream.
who's in another Billy Bob movie.
That's right. Yeah, he's having a rough time with addiction.
Okay.
Okay.
And
rough
he's
time
Eric
with a
Stoltz.
what?
With addiction. What happened to Eric Stoltz? What's his deal these days? He's not like a spring chicken, but he's not over the hill.
No, I mean, he's got 125 credits.
Those must have been like before 1999.
Last
though.
thing I saw
he's-
him in was Rules of Attraction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. I'm looking at the stuff he's made recently. I haven't heard any of this. He was on an episode of Marin. He was on an episode of Wilfred.
He only does one word.
Yeah.
TV shows now.
Yeah, there's not very many. I'm not seeing any movie. Oh, he was in that remake of The Honeymooners. That sucked.
Wow. Yeah, I mean,
he was in The Butterfly Effect.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, he's had that's a good career, 125 credits.
No, sure. I'm just saying, like, since
Yeah, I haven't
Rules
seen
of Attraction, like late 90s, early 2000s, he's kind of fallen off.
Then we have Enron, The Smartest Guys in the Room, which I believe is an HBO
It is.
thing. And like most HBO things, they're usually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And this one's good. This was like one of our first big financial scandals of this era.
First of many to come.
Many to come, yes. But Enron basically did the same kind of deal. They fudged their books and were showing profits when they were losing money.
Mm-hmm.
And remember that Houston Stadium used to be called Enron Field.
Yep.
Before they changed it to Minute Maid after all the scandals.
Yeah, they went down hard. This guy, Alex Gibney, the guy who directed it, has done a lot of good documentaries. He did a Hunter S. Thompson one. He did
Hunter S. Thompson?
Oh, he did the Going Clear documentary.
Oh.
And he did one other one that was WikiLeaks, the We Steal Secrets one, and then Catching Hell, the Steve Bartman thing from Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
He's
okay.
really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really good documentary. What can I say? It may not, this is a
Might
time.
look cute in retrospect.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like when you watch this, if you watch this today, it's going to feel like Child's Play.
Yeah, exactly. Just one company?
Yeah, exactly. Then we have Extreme Prejudice, 1987 movie with Nick Nolte and Powers Booth. I never saw this either.
Yeah, you not seen that?
No.
It's Nick Nolte is like an ex-commissioned officer where like he's presumed dead in combat, and he's part of like a squad of these people that are presumed dead in combat.
Mm-hmm.
And then his buddy Powers Booth is like with the Mexican cartel, and they face off with
Extreme Prejudice.
I remember liking this movie.
Then we have Fandango. It's got Kevin Costner in it. It's a frat movie.
Yeah. You remember? You never seen Fandango?
Never seen this either.
Yeah, this was right in the 80s, like towards the, let's see, he was in Big Chill, but he wasn't in Big Chill.
Right.
So I guess this is really early on in Costner's career. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's like frat buddies that are drafted and they have to like make a journey to the outpost where they're going to get shipped out.
Oh, Kevin Reynolds directed this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So one of many of the Kevin Costner, Kevin Reynolds collaborations. Yeah, this was 1985, so this was just before he was about to blow up.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
I
I would recommend this movie. I think you would like it.
Can you do the fandango?
Yes.
You like that Kevin Reynolds, Kevin Costner connection, right?
I like the idea that they kept trying so many times, despite the fact that they hated each other's guts.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's fascinating.
Well, maybe they didn't hate each other until Waterworld.
I think there's at least 2 movies they disputed on during filming.
Mm-hmm.
Waterworld is, I think, the only one where Reynolds left the project and Costner finished as director. But I think I'll have to do some Googling. But I like the idea that I hate you, but I think we make good movies together.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can get through this one without punching each other.
Right.
Because I don't know if I could ever put myself in that place.
Well, it's like George Steinbrenner fired Billy Barton like 5 times during the time.
exactly.
And they kept bringing him back.
Yep.
Then we have, this is the middle of that trilogy, For a Few Dollars More, which I have seen, but I don't remember anything about anymore.
You probably remember the villain. The villain is like this super psychotic dude who, what was his name?
Calbatorix?
El Indio. And this is a bad dude. So it's Van Cleef, Lee Van Cleef and Clint Eastwood, and they're facing off against this El Indio dude who is he's almost like Bane. Like he's fucked up because of all the people that he's killed and like all the awfulness that he's done. And so like he smokes this substance that I don't think it's explicated as weed or anything like that. It's something that calms his nerves basically. And he is a bad dude.
Yeah.
This is a great movie.
But this is in between. This is the Man Who with No Name trilogy. You have Fistful of Dollars, and then you have this, and you have The Good, the Bad, the Ugly that comes.
This may be the best one.
Really?
Yeah.
I was watching the Good, the Bad, the Ugly was on the other day, like playing twice or something on this one channel or whatever, and I got wrapped up in that one the other day.
That's a great one.
Yeah, it is a great one.
You guys are forgetting that the best one of all was the Bruce Willis remake, Last Man Standing.
I do. I am forgetting that.
Yeah, this is actually, I think this is the one that I was riveted the most on. Now, The Good, the Bad, the Ugly is fantastic. And Fistful of Dollars is fine, but this one, just really, really struck me.
Yeah. Then we have Friday Night Lights. Is this a more popular movie or TV show?
That's a show, right?
The show eclipsed the movie, I think.
Yeah, I think at first the movie was way more popular, and that nobody watched the TV show for a while. They thought that was going to get canceled. But Friday Night Lights has one of my favorite trailers of all time. It has Beck's Golden Age through it.
Really?
Yes.
I remember that trailer.
But it's based on the Bissinger book that came out, and they changed some things slightly here and there, but it's the same. It's Texas football, which we've been told a million times is like religion in Texas.
I don't want your life.
Yes,
exactly. I don't want your whipped cream bikini.
Yeah.
That's like Forrest Gump.
I know, I was about to say. It's like, Forrest Gump and Allie Larder. That's a weird one.
Allie.
Yes. But yeah, it's basically, you have this, it's the same, the TV show had the same setup. You had a quarterback, or wait a minute, was it the running back in the movie that breaks his leg, and then somebody else steps in. It's Boobie Miles steps in or whatever, and then he becomes a big star running back, and then the other guy wants to come back. This isn't the whole story. Friday Night Lights is a sprawling, multi-story type of thing, but I think Lucas Black is the quarterback in this.
Oh yes, the Tokyo Drift himself.
Yes. And but it's a championship season. They basically are going through this whole thing, a championship season, and that injury thing is probably the biggest crux of this. Just how many people ride their dreams on being a star sports athlete and everything.
Yeah.
This guy breaks his leg. He's in his senior season. Doctors are telling him he can't go out there and plant like normally. Like his leg's fine after about 6 or 7 weeks. His leg's fine, but all the stuff that he does, like planting and like all the little maneuvers that he makes, the doctor's like, you shouldn't go out there. And of course, he goes out there and just gets demolished when he goes out, and it's pretty much the end of any football career he could ever have after that. Because
This is exactly Lawrence Taylor's storyline in Any Given Sunday.
Yes, it is.
By the way, correct me if I'm wrong, but they don't win the big game at the end, right?
they do not.
They lose.
Yeah.
Always got respect for a sports film that's willing to do that.
I do too, and it's funny. I didn't watch the entire series. I saw most of the first season, but don't they make like an impossible amount of comebacks in the TV series?
I'm sure
It's
it's
always
like
like
Bad
last
News
second.
Bears. That backup running back was so good, everybody's immediately better. But yeah, I think that's some of where they fudged.
Yeah.
Was just making comebacks a little more dramatic.
I actually don't remember too many comebacks. I think that any comebacks that they did have were like not like giant 4 touchdown type things or whatever. I don't remember that. Like it seemed like when they were losing, they ended up losing most of the time. In this one, it suggests that when they got to the championship, they were facing a team that was just way bigger than them. It was like Hoosiers almost. And like the way bigger and way stronger and cheating too, all the way through. And like I think this may have been the genesis of me pointing out people like eating or chewing things to be an asshole, because the coach of that other team has a toothpick in his mouth the entire time, and this like shit-eating grin on his face and all that. And that toothpick is all part of the prop of this of this dickhead. He's just a dick the whole time. But yeah, they have a thing where like that team destroys them in the first half, and then in the second half they get a couple of breaks, get back in the game, and then they have a big comeback, and it comes up short, which is, yes, awesome. Instead of like the big, like slow motion ball flying in the air and the impossible catch, which everybody wants to see.
We rag on Any Given Sunday that I just mentioned a second ago, but they do the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
They lose the big game at the end of that movie.
Yeah.
Fuck that movie.
But Friday Night Lights, good movie. I like the TV series better. If you like Jesse Plemons, that's where you first see Jesse Plemons, is in that show.
In the show, right? Yeah.
This isn't the wife the same from the movie and the show?
Yes, Connie Britton.
That's always weird to me.
Yeah.
I understand.
She went from Billy Bob to fucking.
She stepped up.
Not Ron Livingston.
Kyle Chandler.
Kyle Chandler.
Not Ron Both in Zero Dark Thirty.
Yeah.
I can't tell them apart.
Yeah. Yeah, she's the same. There's another guy in there that plays Minka Kelly's dad, who's also in the movie.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, there's that show did probably go a little bit too long.
Really?
But it was great. I used to love watching that show. But movie's good too. From Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh lordy.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about From Dusk
The
Till
only good part of this movie, I think, is in Texas.
Dawn. You might be right. Because
Once they get to the titty twister, well, up until the Salma Hayek dance, that's when I basically shut off.
Oh man.
I'll
really?
watch it. I'll watch it,
Really?
and it'll be fun. But I don't like it nearly as much as the.
I don't know. When
the
you first said
part
that,
of it.
I was going along with it. But I think you're still right. I just don't think I hate the other part.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I just it doesn't interest me anymore because it's totally pulp. There is no. Up until then, it was reality based and all that stuff, and I can buy vampires and stuff like that. And I love the quote that we always talk about. I don't believe in fucking vampires.
Yeah, but I know what I saw.
I know what I fucking just saw.
Yeah.
But yeah, the opening stuff at the Benny's House of Liquor or whatever it is. and the kidnapping of the woman and the whole chase and everything. Harvey Keitel and Juliette Lewis getting kidnapped and then going to the titty twister. It's so good.
Yeah,
that's it's totally Tarantino too.
Yeah, it
Totally
is.
Tarantino too. I just saw part of Desperado the other day. Not holding up very good for me.
I haven't seen it since it came out.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Okay, I watched Sin City the other day.
Yeah.
Why do you guys hate that movie so much?
Because it sucks.
I hate it. I hate it.
I mean,
I hate it.
it sucks.
Yeah.
I don't think
I enjoyed it.
I don't think I like the source material. That may be part of the problem for me. I'm not the biggest Frank Miller fan. Which is weird because he's single-handedly one of the most respected Batman writers and considered one of the worst Batman writers. Because he wrote The Dark Knight Returns.
Was it Batman Year One, maybe?
And I think he wrote Year One.
Okay.
But then he came back sometime in the last 10 years and did a run where you've seen the meme where Batman has like 9 chins and the phrases, "I'm the goddamn Batman." Right? That was Frank Miller, and everyone thinks that's a ridiculous book.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't like the source material. That may be it for me. I just think it's a lot like Desperado and a lot like Robert Rodriguez's career, all style and very little substance.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I like Sin
I
City.
do think Elijah Wood and his part in Sin City, he's creepy, and that part's kind of cool. But nah, I don't think on that movie.
Yeah,
It's just odd that we disagree so clearly.
I got exhausted watching the movie. I gave it another chance and then I sent it, and it was just never was a. I think the visuals are cool. That's it.
Yeah. So from Dusk Till Dawn.
From Dusk Till Dawn, I very much enjoy this movie. Very, very B
so
movie,
good. Yeah.
and very. It's got some great lines and moments in it. It's a fun movie. Then we have Giant. This was James Dean's last movie. Giant is a movie that I've never been able to get on board with.
Really?
Yes. It's good, but this is just one of those that critics just love the shit out of this. And on my first viewing, now I've only watched it one time, I was a little underwhelmed and I thought it was boring.
Well, yeah, I mean it spans, I think, just like generations, I guess, right? Because they have Dennis Hopper ends up being the oldest kid. Yeah, I loved this movie, but I think I was in like a James Dean phase at that point.
Yeah, and I was too. I mean, he's as cool as advertised in almost everything he's ever done. George Stevens did this and Shane and A Place in the Sun and stuff like that. I think this is his most well-known movie, is Giant. Yeah, I will have to watch it again. I'd hate to just cast judgment.
Yeah, Elizabeth Taylor's just right at the height of like her perfection.
Yeah,
Rock Hudson is really good. I always liked Rock Hudson's performances. I understand it was like really difficult for him and everything.
Yeah.
But the stuff between him and James Dean, especially in this, are like it's very poppy.
Yeah,
it pops.
Yeah.
Poppy.
But there's a whole
Poppy's a little sloppy.
There's a whole genre of this back in this age where it's like families, oil baron families and stuff like that. There's a million of these type of movies.
The Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah, this is one of the best known.
Not for nothing, all throughout the Newton Boys, Matthew McConaughey keeps telling everybody he's an oil man. He's just robbing banks until he
We're
has
gonna
enough
get
money.
to the Newton Boys.
Yeah, next week.
Then we have The Good Girl. That's a Jennifer Aniston movie. I've seen it. I can't remember much about it. Is this the one where she's a clerk?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a grocery store clerk.
John C. Reilly's in this?
Yeah.
And Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yep.
I liked it a lot.
I love this movie.
I only saw it the once, but I really liked it a lot.
She is she's married to John C. Reilly, and she's cheating on him with Jake Gyllenhaal, who's named Holden.
Yes. Get it? Wink.
Yeah, exactly. This is the first time I saw, because this was like 2002.
Yeah.
This is the first time I'd seen Jennifer Aniston do something other than Rachel.
Sure.
And she fucking nailed it, man.
This movie should have propelled her into a bigger movie career.
I think so.
I guess, but I don't think it was like a big movie, though.
It wasn't, but I heard nothing but how great she was in this. These are the type of movies that do propel actors into another realm or whatever. And either the movies that she could have been good for, people were like, she's still Rachel to me. I don't know what happened. It seems like this movie would have gotten her a lot more diversified roles. And
she's great. She was in that cake. Is it the cookie cake that she got nominated for?
Cookie cake.
Layer cake,
I
vanilla
haven't seen
cake.
This one.
She was in a drama that got her nominated for
7-layer bean.
Oh yeah, it was called Cake.
Cake. Yeah,
it
by
was
the
a
ocean.
Golden Globe nomination.
Yeah. But no, this is so good. My favorite scene in this one is where, because I guess it's John C. Reilly wants to have a baby, or maybe she wants to have a baby, and they're concerned that his sperm count is low, so they go to a sperm thing to get it checked out. And he's in there jerking off, and he's like, I can't do it. So he asks her to come in. She comes in, and he just puts his hand on her boob and starts jerking off. And she's just like standing there with like this expression on her face, like, what the fuck?
But I remember liking this movie. I thought it was good.
That's awesome.
But
it's a very good movie.
But it just seems weird afterwards. She's sort of just... all of the movies that there's a cake that gets thrown in there or whatever, but like for the most part, she's in all these like romantic comedies, and she's she has a good turn in Horrible Bosses and all that, but like We're the Millers.
Rumor has it.
Yeah,
I think especially in this decade, I think she seems like she's making her own choices, and she's got fuck you money from friends.
I think
man.
she's gonna have something. In the next couple of years, she's going to have like a Big Little Lies moment where she's going to go from wherever she is now to that. Like, she's going to be on everyone's radar for awards for some limited HBO, Netflix. I'm telling you.
I got you.
Yeah, I think so.
believe you.
I think she will. It's just that it's weird. Like I said, it's just weird after this one movie that came out in 2002. And yeah, maybe she finally started taking strides with that cake movie, which I still need to see. Apparently, she's great in that.
It's also called Cookie.
Yes, it's also
Cookie
called
Cake.
Cookie's Fortune. But yeah, I agree. I think there'll be something that comes out of nowhere, like Julia Roberts did recently.
Yeah, and Reese Witherspoon and Nicole Kidman have all kind of had their thing the last few years, and even Amy Adams with Sharp Objects. I feel like Jennifer Aniston's going to have one of them.
Yeah. Then we have Happy Texas. This is a movie I have seen, another one that I don't remember much about, but I do remember Steve Zahn being in it. Jeremy Northam, William H. Macy.
They are escaped convicts, Jeremy Northam and Steve Zahn.
Yep.
And they get mistaken for gay pageant directors in this small Texas town. They want to put on this children's pageant. They've hired this. You could watch Safe Men and this movie back to back. Steve Zahn being in both of them, and have a great time. But it's the same basic story. They're mistaken for this, but they're on the run, so they have to pretend that they are the pageant directors. But one of them falls in love with one of the women in town. It doesn't make very many hard choices. It doesn't go to very many edgy places. But I think it's totally watchable. I think it's really fun.
I enjoyed it. This is 99.
I knew as soon as I saw this, I was like, I bet Jeremy's seen this multiple times. Yeah, because the Steve Zahn factor, I think, for one. But
Steve Zahn factor.
It's a thing, man. It's real.
Yeah.
It's scientifically proven.
If Steve Zahn is in a movie, Jeremy has seen it at least 3 times minimum. Before it even comes out, he's seen it 3 times. Yeah, exactly.
I'm like Meryl Streep in the fashion movie with Anne Hathaway,
Devil Wears Prada,
where she's like, I want the next Harry Potter book, the unreleased one. That's how I am with Steve Zahn movies.
Then we have Harold and Kumar Escape from Guantanamo Bay.
I just saw this a week ago.
Oh, wow.
These movies are so... Okay, I love these movies.
I'm a sucker for them.
I think they get way too much goodwill, and they are crappy. But I love them.
I do too.
And this is the one where they end up smoking weed with George W. Bush in his Texas mansion. I'm pretty sure Neil Patrick Harris is in all 3 of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is this one also the one where there's some really whacked out sex scene in it?
Oh.
Where
there is a one. There's a scene in here where a dude is having a bottomless party.
Oh no, they go to a whorehouse. In this one.
Is
You're
it this
right.
one?
Is it? It's a weird sex scene. Like it's like, isn't there? I don't. Isn't there something involving
Ducks?
fisting?
I'm sure there is. I don't remember that.
There's a point where like there's some. It's like having sex with like a blunt or something like that or whatever.
Oh, and it's Neil Patrick Harris because Kumar's all about it. He's like, I'll go have sex, and Harold isn't because he's trying to get to his girlfriend and break up a marriage. But Neil Patrick Harris is like, yes, he's like the whorehouse owner is the mom from Christmas Vacation. And she knows
Beverly D'Angelo.
Yes,
Yeah.
and she knows Neil Patrick Harris and has kicked him out before because he's violent with her girls.
Right.
And she lets him back in because he has money, and then they end up kicking him. She shoots his fucking
Yeah, he
ass.
dies.
Or
He
she shoots
supposedly
him with a
does.
shotgun, and they drive off and leave him.
Yeah.
So I
get
think
the-
that's where the scene you're talking
There's
about.
I get those
there's-
mixed up,
There's
those first two.
something in there, and I just remember going, I'm officially crossed over into just liking this movie because it's so silly. But I can't remember the exact things that happened in that sex scene. Is this also the one that came out after Neil Patrick Harris came out? And so like is that?
I think this is the second one, right?
This is the second one.
Is
I
it
think
the
that's the
third
third
one?
one.
There's the Christmas one.
This Christmas one.
Oh, okay, so the Christmas one is where he's come out and he's playing up on that persona.
Yes.
He's got a boyfriend and all that. And there's that point where like they're just out and about and just being gay in front of reporters and stuff. And then like later he takes his boyfriend behind the doors and he's like, you said you wanted to come out. That you're gay. He's like, yeah, I want to be gay, not gay as shit.
Fucking love these movies.
Oh, man.
But yeah, if stoner comedies, I think it's a step above your typical stoner comedy.
Absolutely.
I would rather watch, no offense, I'm going to hurt some feelings. I'd rather watch these than Half Baked.
Oh, I would too.
And I
would
like
too.
Half Baked. I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
don't, it's not as entertaining all the way through.
Yeah. No, this is zany as shit, man.
It really is.
Yeah. Then we have a great one, Hell or High Water.
This is on Netflix now, I think.
Is it really?
Yeah, because I caught a little bit of it. I've just like turned it on for a second.
This is a rich movie, man. I've seen it maybe 10 times at this point. And I find new things every time. I see there's so many subtle acting performances in this film because Ben Foster is usually just pure unbridled rage. But here it's so beaten down. He's just gotten out of prison. That whole bit when he goes back to Chris Pine's mom's house and he's like, there's no meat on any of them cows. Anyway, this movie gets me and hits me. I fucking love it.
One of these days, Ben Foster is going to get nominated for an Oscar, right?
I thought it was going to
He's
be this
one of
year.
these guys that just keeps slipping through the cracks. Even when people say, "Oh, how great he was" or whatever, they just forget about him when it comes awards time. And this one might be his best ever. Like most of the time, Ben Foster is playing like your average everyday baddie, whatever. But this one is different. This one is a forefront character. It's a stepping off point for an actor. Like something really big should have happened for him on Hell or High Water.
He and Pine, I think, Chris Pine, like really prop each other up in this movie. Their performances play off of each other almost as well as Jeff Bridges and his partner.
Yeah.
It's that duality there where it's almost like with Chris Pine and Ben Foster, where it's like a Jeremy Renner, Ben Affleck thing from The Town,
It does. It rings true. You feel like there's 26 years of pain, love, and fun between these two guys. I think Chris Pine is the bee's knees, man. He is the next
agree.
George Clooney or Cary Grant. I think
I literally said that to my wife the other day when he was introducing Jeff Bridges.
he's the whole package.
Yeah.
He's super handsome. He's a phenomenal actor. He's charming as hell. And he can play good, bad, fast, slow. He's the man.
That last scene, I'm just thinking, I'm rerunning this movie, that last scene between Chris Pine and Jeff Bridges, where they come to that resolution, is like one of my favorite endings of all time.
What's funny is the first time I saw that movie, even in the second and third times, I didn't think that part was needed. And
Oh, really?
now I've come to believe it's almost essential.
Oh, it's so fantastic.
I'm not. I think it's just momentum that made me, because you have all this momentum in that finale, and then boom, we've got 15 minutes of dialogue, and it felt the first couple times through like a pacing problem for me. But ultimately, I think both of those characters need that closure.
They
can only get it from each other.
Yeah. But they can't. But they can't close it all the way. Right? They have to do what they do.
Yep.
I also just like a narrative where it seems like you're just your typical bank robbery movie or whatever. Like, okay, these guys are bad or whatever, but there's so much more to it in the whole thing, and that's where Jeff Bridges, I think, shines, because he starts asking himself, why is it these banks? Why is it, those type of things? And so like there's an extra layer to it. I like the idea that it's not just a bank heist movie with, two brothers or whatever, doing the stuff. There's a little bit added extra in it.
This movie, by the way, is Texas as fuck.
Yeah, it is.
And
is he a ranger? Is Jeff Bridges a ranger?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a Texas Ranger. But like all throughout the movie, everybody's like, there's the first or second robbery where the old man is in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, y'all robbing this bank? And they're like, yeah. He's like, shit, you boys ain't even Mexican. The movie's full of that kind of talk.
Yeah.
Even Jeff Bridges is kind of racist in this. Not the actor, the character.
Yeah.
But boy, it feels like a pretty accurate portrayal of. God, I love this movie so much.
Me too. I want to watch it again.
Don't
tonight.
rob banks, kids.
Mm-hmm. Then we have Hope Floats, which I believe is a Sandra Bullock movie.
It's actually, no, it's a Harry Connick Jr. movie that Sandra Bullock happens to be in.
I see.
And by the end, they drop a rock in the water and it sinks, and then they roll credits.
Oh, so the rock is not Hope.
I saw this once and thought it was maudlin and boring.
Yeah, it is. It's totally, she breaks up. It actually starts in Chicago. She breaks up with her husband and goes back home to Texas, Hope, Texas, or something like that.
Oh, that, of course. Right.
And then she gets hooked up with Harry Connick Jr.
Holy shit. Forrest Whitaker directed this.
What? Jesus.
As you do.
And a guy named Steven Rogers wrote the screenplay.
Nice.
Dum, dum, dum.
Hope Floats. I'm trying to remember if this is. I have briefly met Sandra Bullock in my life.
Did I know that?
Did I never tell you that story?
I don't think you've told us this
I don't
story.
think I knew that.
This is as brief as it gets, so don't. It's not that big of a deal.
Call her right now.
Yeah. I was working at Williamson Square, and there was this woman who used to come in all the time who was connected to the film industry and everything. And she ended up inviting me to Montreal to go to the film festival. Now,
that's when you went.
Now I'm 21 years old, so obviously I'm a little like wary of that. So I brought my brother along with me too. So we went to Montreal, and the Montreal Film Festival was going to have a tribute to Jonathan Pryce, but apparently the organizers thought he wasn't a big enough name, so they changed it to Sandra Bullock. And so Sandra Bullock ended up being the one on the tribute. So I got an invite out there as security, quote unquote, or like a projectionist that they did not need. They had union projectionists or whatever, but I sort of helped, whatever, not really, with the clips that they showed during the Sandra Bullock tribute. And so this woman I knew interviewed her on stage. And I believe this is the movie that she had to go. It was either this or Forces of Nature. She had to go back to film real quick. She couldn't stay very long or whatever. So me and my brother went up on stage and pretended to be security.
Nice.
And there were all these people coming up asking if they could give this to Sandra Bullock and all this stuff, and we were like, no, you can't. and then so once it died down and everything, we both decided to walk behind the screen. Actually, Hope Floats was the movie that they played after, and obviously nobody stayed. But Hope Floats was the movie they played after the interview. So it was Forces of Nature that she went to go film. We went behind the screen, and we were just like trying to find anybody. We didn't expect to run into Sandra Bullock or anything like that. Sandra Bullock, this woman, and everybody who was in that group had gotten lost behind the thing. This is the reason why I ended up briefly running into her. and they were getting on an elevator. And that woman was like, we got champagne chilling back at the blah blah blah, so just hang tight and we'll be back or whatever. And Sandra Bullock was like, yeah, have some champagne, get drunk on me.
Nice.
There you go.
So
Nice.
I didn't know, I didn't ever tell that story before, but yeah, I've briefly met Sandra Bullock.
I honestly
you
think
go.
the best part of that story is getting on stage pretending to be security.
That was fun.
It reminded me in college, my brother used to do this thing whenever we'd go to like Red Lobster or someplace. If he had a shirt and tie on from church or whatever, he'd like stand up and start walking around the tables, carrying himself like he's the manager. Like, because every now and then the manager will come up to your table and go, how's everything doing tonight, folks? Good? Can I get you a refill on that? Is everything okay with your meals? And he would go around the restaurant pretending to be the manager. He wouldn't do anything they asked him to do. It was just like fucking with people.
Yeah.
Anyway, it reminded me of that.
Yeah,
Pretending
it was-
to be security on stage.
It was kind of like that. And I'm kind of surprised. I'm glad, but I'm kind of surprised we didn't have to like actually like prevent people from going. Like, we
Sir,
didn't- you can't do it.
Sir, I need you to calm down.
Get behind the yellow line.
There was just some discussion that, you know, like, would we be able to actually meet and talk to her and all that? And then I guess her representative said, I guess in a long way, basically said no. You know, we don't want her to you know, I don't know, have a bunch of people talking to her or whatever. I don't know what the fuck their reasoning
We
is.
don't need a bunch of people looking at us.
Yeah. Anyway, Hope Floats I've heard is horrible, so
It is.
okay, then Hot Pursuit. I never saw this either. 2015 Reese Witherspoon, Sofia Vergara. Oh, I remember this. I remember when it came out.
Reese is like a straight-laced, like Texas cop, and she's got to transport Sofia Vergara.
It's one of those movies.
Yes, it is, where she's the spicy Latina.
Like bounty hunter
yeah, exactly.
type of bullshit.
And then they end up like pulling out the best in both of their personalities, and
A Midnight Run.
yeah, this thing sucks ass, man.
I heard this was just straight
it's
trash.
It's below Reese. Reese shouldn't be doing this stuff anymore.
no, but
I don't think it made a lot of money or anything.
Speaking of Reese, though, have you seen, like, her daughter looks exactly like her.
Yeah, she
Oh,
does.
really?
Like Reese Jr., like
Really?
mini Reese. It's kind of spooky. Like, I think genetic work was done.
This is her and Ryan Phillippe's
Yes.
kid, right? Oh, wow. I met that girl when she was 6 or so.
Oh, yeah?
She came into my we're all sharing celebrity
Yes.
stories here. It was Ryan Phillippe and like his nanny and the kids
Nice.
came in to my store at the mall.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, "Oh, hey, little guys." And then I was like, "Hey, Ryan Phillippe."
I loved you in Antitrust.
You was the bum in Antitrust.
Then we have A House of a Thousand Corpses. We did talk about this briefly when Devil's Rejects came up. This movie's terrible, and like I said, it took a good 3 years for this to finally get a release.
Rob Zombie needs to go back to making music.
Also, I counted not exactly 1,000 corpses.
Oh, I know, right?
Well,
Ding,
there's
ding,
a
ding,
lot of
ding.
corpses in there.
Mm-hmm.
There was
Did you
a
count?
lot.
There's a scene
Well,
where
I don't know, because they're trying to kill more people, so then it would be like a House of 1,003 corpses after they got done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a shot I remember in this movie. I was like, Jesus Christ, how long are you going to fucking do this shot? Where like a guy puts a gun to somebody's head and like Zombie's like, oh yeah, we're going to pull out the crane shot for this one. And like it starts from the level that they're at and it just goes up very slowly all the way up to this like overhead shot. And then the guy finally shoots the guy. And I'm like, all right, good for you, Rob.
You know who I like is that Sherry Moon zombie. She's pretty.
Yeah, she's sexy.
pretty in a weird.
She's a sexy girl.
Well, yeah, she's.
I Love You, Philip Morris. Good movie. Ewan McGregor, Jim Carrey.
This was just on the other day. I didn't watch it.
Yeah, this is good.
I haven't ever seen it, but
Cool
I've heard good
story,
things about it.
bro.
Well, I've always wondered, though, it's based on a real story?
Yes.
And Philip Morris is the real guy's name?
Mhm.
Because it doesn't have any connection to the cigarette company?
No.
No.
Because that
it's,
title of the movie has always kind of thrown me
Yeah,
there.
Ewan McGregor plays Philip Morris, and I'm trying to remember.
Jim Carrey keeps breaking out of prison He keeps going to prison for like fraud or something like that, and he wants to be with his guy so much that he'll break out of prison and go live the high life with him.
Yeah. I remember. I just remember we got this movie, Hollywood 27, and it was like a sneak preview or something. I don't think we ended up actually showing it for a regular run or anything. We just had the sneak preview. And I remember watching it, I was like, man, this is really good. This might be something Jim Carrey might want to start doing, some movies like this. I mean, he had been trying some dramatic stuff earlier, your Simon Birches, and well, he wasn't that much in that, but the Majestic and the Man in the Moon and all that type of stuff. But a movie like this, this isn't like Carrey being a rubber face, comedian. This is more of a situational type of thing.
Oh yeah,
it's really good.
It's a very good movie.
Then Joe. This is a Matthew McConaughey movie.
Nicolas Cage.
Is it?
You think about Killer Joe?
I'm thinking of Killer Joe.
Joe,
Nicolas Cage movie.
Nicolas Cage?
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
This is a tough movie. So this was based on a book called Joe, written by Larry Brown. Larry Brown wrote Faye, wrote Dirty Work, not the Norm Macdonald one, about firefighters. He's a Southern writer who I got really, really into, read everything he wrote. And he had a knack for writing about poor Southern Mississippi, Texas people that did whatever they had to do to get by, and their grievances with each other, and like if they get a little bit of money, they're going to lose it somehow. And that's what this is. This Joe, I believe, was a character in a book called Faye that he wrote, and this is the continuation of that story. And there's some brutal shit in this movie.
Actually, it's funny. I don't think I was confusing this with Killer Joe. I was thinking of Mud. Another 3-letter Southern town. I think that's Arkansas, but
right.
Ty Sheridan is in both of these movies.
Oh yeah,
and yeah, that was, you saw Ty Sheridan in this, and I haven't seen Joe, but you saw him in Mud. You knew he might be a big thing at some point. Jury's still out on that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he did Ready Player One, but yeah, I haven't seen Joe, so it's tough. But is it good?
Oh yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
it's very good. Now I really, really like the book. I think they were very faithful to it. And Nick Cage, it's one of those out of the pit of his ass, he pulls out like a great performance, completely different from his crazy manic stuff.
Mm-hmm. David Gordon Green.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
What, that guy had the weirdest fucking career.
He does.
Jesus
right?
Christ.
In fact, let's run down David Gordon Green real quick. He did.
We just talked about his first thing just recently.
Yeah, he did that George Washington movie. Which was on.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Was on recently, and I've seen a good like 20-30 minutes of it. But there's a lot of people who became big stars are in that movie. Like Danny McBride is in it.
Really?
Yeah. He did All the Real Girls. He did a movie called Undertow, Snow Angels, then Pineapple Express, Your Highness, The Sitter, and a movie called Prince Avalanche. And then he did some episodes of Eastbound and Down. Joe, Manglehorn. Yeah, he's got a kind of spotty, weird record.
But he's
He
a
did
genre
Halloween,
hopper.
right?
Yeah,
he did Halloween is later on, but
Yeah.
I was skipping over there's like a ton of other things that we did Our Brand is Crisis, which is a Sandra Bullock movie.
That was the election movie.
Yeah. But he does have a kind of a weird career. Then we have The Gambler, Kenny Rogers as the Gambler.
That's the name of the movie. This is a TV movie based on the song.
Yes.
So the song came first.
Yeah.
And then they were like, boy, that gambler sounds like a real rootin' tootin'.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's what I have to add to this discussion. Yesterday, the Seinfeld episode with Kenny Rogers Roasters was on.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that part where the store closes and Kramer's like, Kenny, he's got his mouth full of Kenny. That's all I have to say about that
He
movie.
makes a real good bird.
It's the wood that makes it good.
But I'm sure they like did this whole thing where it's like, oh, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. So we got to put that in there somewhere.
Yeah, my grandparents loved this movie, so I've seen it a lot of times.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Yeah, it's not good.
They made,
you know what? It's not good, but I enjoyed watching it.
They made a Mark Wahlberg movie called The Gambler later, but I don't know if it has any relation to this.
No relation. That's a remake of another unrelated gambler movie.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Then there's Kill Bill, both 1 and 2 have stuff in Texas. I do remember the wedding in part 2 was supposed to take place in Texas.
It was in El Paso.
Yeah.
And there's a good bit in Texas. I forget which of the Vipers, what are they called again?
Is Michael Madsen, and is
I believe
he living?
so.
He's living in. He lives in a trailer, I think,
yeah.
in the desert somewhere. But yeah, they are. I guess they might be the Vipers. They're all named after snakes.
Yeah.
One's Cottonmouth, one's Black Mamba.
Yeah.
One's,
One was Squiggles.
Yeah, Squiggles. Squiggles. That's correct.
Man, I didn't like these movies, especially the first one when they came out, because I didn't get it. I thought it was just too hyper violent and hyper stylized, and it wasn't the Tarantino that I knew. But I was stupid. These are great. These are great movies.
That's not my Tarantino.
It may be a little bit of. I mean, he's got a great career. It might be one of his lesser movies, actually, when it comes down to it.
I think 1 is for sure.
Because it's
really
a little
love
bit
2.
more action oriented, and we don't really go to Tarantino movies to see action necessarily, but he still has a lot of those like great moments, great dialogue moments and everything in it too. But I like them both. I like the second one better.
I do too. I like it much better. I mean, just for the dialogue and the bill and bride scenes alone.
I just like that it taught me what to do if I ever get buried alive.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh my God.
All you have to do is just keep punching and punching and punching.
Also, if you are in a coma and you drag yourself to the pussy wagon, you tell yourself, wiggle your big toe.
There was a funny thing about that. We've never sinned to these movies, but I'm sure we'll end up sinning this part. It's hard to get out of my head that somebody made a mention of this. But she gets in that pussy wagon, and she is now an escaped patient at that hospital. She's in the parking garage. The guy who owns the pussy wagon is dead. Yeah. And she's in his car for 12 hours.
Yeah, that's true.
And they don't find her.
And it's not like it's like a bronze Cadillac or something like that can get overlooked. It's not a Buick.
Yeah.
It's the fucking
It's
pussy
the pussy
wagon.
So your name is Chuck, and you love to fuck. Then we have The Last Picture Show. This is a Peter Bogdanovich movie. I haven't seen it in forever, but I remember liking it. Good movie.
Yeah. Jeff Bridges, right?
Jeff Bridges is in this. Sybil Shepherd.
Yeah.
Sybil Shepherd is gorgeous in this movie. Holy shit.
Boy, she was, I'm still is, I guess, but like she in her prime.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah.
My goodness.
I wasn't allowed to watch her in her prime.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't watch Moonlighting?
No, I was not allowed to watch Moonlight.
Really? I like me some Moonlighting.
Hey, they had sex and they weren't married.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's true.
But this, I think Sybil Shepherd was dating Peter Bogdanovich at the time. Which is, again, Bogdanovich was one of those guys who dated like very, 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 very young, from like way down. And like, there's that whole thing with like, whoever the subject of Star 80 is, the model that's in that or whatever. Like, I think he dated her and that girl's younger sister. And there's a lot of stuff with Peter Bogdanovich, but, The Last Picture Show, it's about this small Texas town, and like I guess they frame it with a theater that's closing down, but the whole town itself is basically becoming a ghost town or whatever. And I don't remember why it is, or if it's one of those where the interstate moved or some shit.
I don't know. I get this confused with American Graffiti a lot because it's all like in that time period and soda shops and like riding around and fingering. Yeah. Right.
Why did I say that?
Well, there is a lot of like.
I feel like there was a scene where
there is. Yes. There is. there's a scene where Sybil Shepherd goes to this one dude who's the Lothario of the group, and they're at a party. And he goes over and touches her there and says, "Are you a virgin?" And she says, "Yes." And he says, "Come back to me when you're not."
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay.
And then there's like some other sexcapades in that movie where, like, you know, girls in a car, and she's allowing the guy to do almost everything, but then when he wanders down farther, she's like, no, you're gonna get me pregnant, I don't want you to do that.
So
there's
right.
Yeah, no, you were absolutely right. I was like sitting there going, yeah, there's some damn fingering in this movie. Fangering. But I remember Last Picture Show being pretty good. It's a classic. It's a one of those early 70s films that, you know, is a big deal, is a big part of why.
Still laughing about the thing.
Yes.
They're riding around in soda shops and fingering each other.
Exactly. In fact, there's probably not one frame of that film that doesn't contain some sort of fingering.
I just now realized that Marky Mark movie Fyre is a remake of The Last Picture.
It is. Oh my God, Fear! Let me in the fucking house. Then we have the classic Life of David Gale.
Oh my, Moses on a stick.
Yeah,
I think I've said everything that needs to be said. This movie is a big, bleeding, pus-filled piece of shit.
It really,
it is.
This movie is offensive.
It really is,
and everyone involved should be ashamed. That's really all I have to say about this.
This was bad, and you should feel bad.
Yeah.
there's good people in this, right? Laura Linney.
Yeah, Laura Linney and Kate Winslet are the good people.
There's good actors in this.
But yeah, it's one of those movies that basically just, gives you the finger by the end of it.
Is it the end that really pisses you off?
Yes, although this movie still bothers me the same way Cider House Rules does, in that you took a political stance and you wrote a whole movie around it. But all I see is you bang the drum about your political stance. So people who made this movie are anti-death penalty.
Yeah.
I get it. You know what? There are other ways to make that statement than this unbelievable,
No shit.
right?
Yes. It's ridiculous.
Like law-abiding citizen is looking at this movie going, that's just
your
too
shit
insane.
together.
I can't believe that.
Yeah, it really is. It really is like that. This is one of those movies. I think I saw it in theater. 21 of Hollywood 27, and one of those where got done with it, and I was like, man, that was really, really fucking bad. Holy shit!
It's crazy. After American Beauty, like Kevin Spacey did a bunch of shit, right?
Yeah.
Like Pay It Forward and fucking and this and
K-Pax and
K-Pax. That's right.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he was in a lot of those. Just like, what? Wait a minute. You did Usual Suspects. You did American Beauty. Now suddenly you're doing
You're doing some bullshit.
treacly bullshit. Then there's the Lone Ranger 2013 Disney Johnny Depp Army Hammer movie.
Proud to say I have not yet seen it.
I haven't either.
Who
Barrett
who
has.
wrote the sins for that? It was me, and it must have been Jonathan or Aaron.
It weren't me.
I think it was Jonathan, but
man, this movie sucks.
Yeah.
This movie sucks really, really hard.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what's weird about this movie. Like it sucks, but it's like a gritty, grimy, gross, like
all the GR
dark.
words.
Yeah. It's like the Lone Ranger I remember from childhood being like, this anodyne, just kind of hero versus villain type of thing. This is like they're really trying to like stir some shit up and everything.
And this movie's super long for no reason.
So long, yes.
It's 2.5 hours long.
Yes, it is.
For no reason.
Oh my God. I got to like an hour and a half and I was like, oh, almost done. Nope. Another hour left.
Dude, there's nothing worse than those when you're sending them. When you're like, you've gotten to the hour and a half mark, you're like, oh, right, home stretch, usually. Not that one.
Yeah, no.
Isn't there some sort of comic book or some sort of weird connection between the Lone Ranger and Green Hornet?
I don't know.
There's some sort of, I read this a long time ago. There's some sort of familial connection between the Green Hornet and Lone Ranger, I think. Then we have Lonestar. This movie is fucking great. This is John Sayles. this is a murder mystery, like a cold case murder mystery. A lot of stuff with like a lot of I guess racism involving white people and Mexicans and stuff like that. There's it reminds me a little bit of LA Confidential, but like for in Texas. Something like that. But Matthew McConaughey plays the young version. He is Chris Cooper's father.
Okay.
So Matthew McConaughey is playing all the 1950 whatever year it is, and Chris Cooper is playing his son in the modern era or whatever. And something comes up where I guess I can't remember what the incident is that gets him to get back on this cold case. But he starts realizing that his dad may have not have been as cool a guy as he thought he was. And a lot of the people who ran the town back then weren't as cool.
This is kind of young Chris Cooper, right?
Yeah. I mean,
96?
96. Yeah. I mean, he's
youngish. I
he's
guess.
probably still in his 40s at this point.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what.
Super young Matthew McConaughey.
I was gonna say it's pretty young McConaughey too.
Yeah,
early in his career.
McConaughey's probably 29, maybe somewhere around there. Both of these people the same year were in The Time to Kill.
The gal is great in this. Who's the female lead?
Is it Elizabeth Pena?
That might be it.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, she's great too.
Yeah, Elizabeth Pena. I used to have a little crush on her.
Mm-hmm.
And she just recently died, unfortunately.
She was in Batteries Not Included.
Yeah.
Son.
But if this is another. This is a huge recommend. This movie has got a great mystery to it. Great performances, all the things that you like, and great writing, all the stuff there's nothing I can hold back on. This movie is great. Then The Longest Yard, the remake of with Adam Sandler.
Fuck this movie. Fuck.
Yeah.
This was a weird time in his career. It was like he hadn't quit yet.
Adam Sandler?
He hadn't given up. But he also wasn't trying very hard.
He was disinterested in this movie. You could tell. Like, he's just totally phoning this in.
But not disinterested to the level of grown-ups.
No, that's true. That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where Adam Sandler's persona is half disinterested.
That's
and
true.
has been from the beginning. But, yeah, this movie's not good. I didn't like it. It offended me. I'm pretty sure Dan Patrick's in it.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, really?
Dan Patrick has this long string of Adam Sandler movie cameos that started somewhere around.
Yeah,
this
he
era.
used to interview Sandler. He may still interview him.
Yeah,
but he would do that like, I don't want to be in one of your movies, and then suddenly he was in that next movie that he came out with, and now he's just he's a staple of Adam Sandler movies.
Yeah, he's become Rob Schneider, basically. He's part of the crew.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I like that the original.
The original's
version of
good.
this. It's so good.
Yeah.
But this is just it's great. They got Burt Reynolds back to play the coach.
Yeah.
It's just stupid. There's no reason to remake this movie.
Yeah. Okay, so that'll do it for part 1 of Texas. We're going to end right there on the M's. There's a million more to go through and everything. And I think we want to get into some recommends and warns while we have a chance.
We're actually at the L, so we're right before the M's. The Longest Yard was the last one.
We finished the L's.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We're going into
So we
the
finished the L's. We're about to go into the M's.
That's it.
So why don't we do some recommends and warns and stuff?
Because I've seen some stuff.
Sure. Yeah. Let's do it, baby.
Totes Amazeballs.
It won the Academy Award
Oh, for what?
for Best Movie Ever Made.
I watched Tully recently.
Oh.
Charlize Theron movie.
Where did you watch it? You
HBO.
just had it? Oh, okay.
It's on
I
HBO now.
really want to watch this movie.
Um,
This is Jason Reitman, right?
yeah. Have you seen this movie?
I haven't. I've got it on Blu-ray.
It's okay.
Really?
Here's the deal. I feel like the trailer was very poorly cut.
What's the deal with the trailer? I didn't understand what the movie was based on the trailer.
Okay, that's part of the problem.
Uh-huh.
Because once you get into the movie, you start looking for what the trailer hinted at.
Mm-hmm. Some sort of mystery
Yes.
type of thing, right?
And if you don't get there halfway through the movie, I will be shocked.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because there's only about 3 different ways you could twist this in a mysterious fashion.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time we get to the end, none of that surprised me. But I still liked what I saw enough that I wish I could go back, not see the trailer, and see the movie cold. And think for half the movie I'm just watching a dramedy, and then kind of have twists and turns surprise me.
Okay.
Because I don't think I would have seen anything coming had the trailer not said, there's a thing coming.
Yeah.
Charlize is great.
Mm-hmm.
She has been through this. This is maybe the third time now where I think she's getting praise for allowing her character to be uglied up in the sense that she's just given birth. She's got a big belly. She's got baby fat all over the place. There's breastfeeding scenes. There's slobber on the pillowcase scenes. They're not trying to make this glamorous. I love Mackenzie Davis.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ron Livingston.
Oh, not Kyle Chandler?
Is the husband, not Kyle Chandler. And it was short. I think you would enjoy it if you'd never seen the trailer.
I got you.
It's just that the trailer knew it had some cards to play and couldn't resist
Oh, that's a shame.
holding them all back.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, when you see it, let me know what you think.
Jason Reitman, okay, so he's got Up in the Air. He's got, did he do Juno?
Yes.
Yes.
And this, he did something in between.
He did another Charlize Theron movie. It
Oh,
was,
Young Adult.
Young Adult, yeah.
And
I like
he's
Young
going to
Adult.
do the Ghostbusters thing.
I'm kind of excited about this.
I was excited until they said it was going to be kids.
Eh.
I mean, yeah, we'll see.
It's Ivan is like producing too.
I think you know who's not excited? Leslie Jones.
Yeah, what the hell, man? Like he went out of his way to praise. He was like, Paul did a great job with that movie. It's a whole thing.
He even said, as far as we're concerned, they can keep making those.
Yeah. What's her deal, man?
I don't think she's angry at anybody but the studio. I think the studio is clearly not going to keep making those movies.
Well, I understand her wanting to promote that movie, but that movie sucked, man.
Well, no, I get that too. That I wasn't super happy with. I was just making a crack that she's really angry about it because you said you were really happy about it.
No, I didn't understand when I saw that. Like, she's super angry at it. The article framed it as that she was mad at Jason Reitman.
It did frame it that way, but I don't know that she is.
Oh, okay.
And I like the idea of, a Hollywood comedy royalty name like Reitman being attached to this.
Sure.
And it's the son of the guy who did the
Well,
last
and he's got a proven track. I really liked Young Adult. I loved Up in the Air. I loved Juno.
He also did Thank You for Smoking.
I really like that movie, too.
Which, by the way, is the movie my brain always confuses for I Love You, Philip Morris.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. No, I totally see that.
Anyway, so that's a record warn.
All right.
Okay, Record Warren.
What do y'all got?
I've seen at least 3 movies I could recommend right now.
Yeah, you've been on a tear, man.
Yeah, but I'm going to go with some lesser knowns here. A movie we discussed briefly in the summer preview, didn't know much about, just saw a brief trailer. Searching.
This is the John Cho.
John Cho
Oh.
basically shot all the way through with laptop cameras and phone cameras and stuff like that. It's amazing how just him typing stuff somehow manages to be compelling. So the movie is about he and his daughter. His wife has died from cancer at the beginning of the movie, and in fact, they do this whole thing with just computers telling you basically, like, here's some pictures. Here's a reminder to go to the doctor. Here's some pictures where everything's in remission. Here's some pictures where the doctor says come back. Here's some, it's a lot of stuff like that. So it ends up being John Cho and his daughter, and and she's about to, I think she's in high school. I think she's in high school. And they have a discussion at the beginning. It's like a Skype or something like that. Have a discussion at the beginning. She's obviously sort of grown up a little bit and doesn't want to talk to dad all the time. And it's that usual thing where he's really interested in what she's doing. She's at some sort of study party or whatever. He wants to know a bunch of stuff. She wants to get off the phone, as quickly as possible. And then afterwards, he tries to contact her again, and she doesn't answer back. And he keeps trying to text her, and she won't answer. And then finally, he realizes there must be something going on, and he tries to figure out what happened to her. And unfortunately, he was never like Facebook friends with her or anything like that, and he can't get into her Facebook. He can't figure out some basic things about her friends because she has never said anything about them before. He ends up calling an investigator played by Deborah Messing. And Deborah Messing's on the case and starts telling him, here's some things you want to do. And she lets him, after he volunteers to go. He ends up through some weird backdoor way of getting into her Facebook and getting into all these different things that he can find out stuff about her life and everything and who she interacted with. And there's so many like different, like there's some apps in here I've never heard of before. I don't know if they probably didn't make it up for the movie. It probably actually exist. Facebook is definitely on there. Tumblr is definitely on there. But he ends up he gets a spreadsheet going of all these people who've seen her, who were her friends, who last saw her, when, all that. And there's all these suspects that keep coming up, and he keeps investigating each one of them. And then like this thing takes so many twists and turns. You would never, like, I didn't think it would get to this point where it was like, holy shit, this really got in depth. And, I don't want to say much more about it.
Sure,
because it's one of those type of movies.
Yeah.
But I highly recommend Searching.
All right.
I thought that movie was just gimmick when I first saw the trailer. Like, it might be okay, but it's a gimmick, and it ends up being surprisingly organic. Like, not anything too weird about seeing all this happening on a computer and on phones and stuff like that. I really dug it.
I was surprised how much I liked Unfriended, that used kind of the similar kind of aesthetic.
Yeah.
So I'm totally down for this.
I'll tell you what Unfriended did too much, though, is that stupid boop sound every time a message gets sent. I can't get through that movie.
Yeah. And then I'll also recommend Bad Times at El Royale.
Ooh.
Yeah, I really want to see that.
I forgot that Drew Goddard did this movie. And it's got a lot of people in it that are great. Jeff Bridges, Chris Hemsworth, who else? Dakota Johnson is in it. But it's about these people who go to this hotel. John Hamm's in it. Go to this hotel that has a borderline between California and Nevada. So like one part of the hotel's in California and other parts in Nevada. So like Bridges is a priest, and then there's this woman who's a singer, and I think Dakota Johnson, you see her just speed in like with this big, you don't know what everybody's deal is essentially, but John Hamm goes into his room, and you just see him like pulling out bug after bug, like surveillance bugs out of his phone, out of lamps and all that, and you're like, what the hell? There's like 12 of these things that he pulls out. And then you find out, okay, he's a CIA guy. It's during the 60s. So he calls Hoover. Ooh. And Hoover's telling him like, here's what your operation is and all that. Hamm then, goes to talk to the guy, the hotel clerk or whatever, but hotel clerk is kind of whacked out of his mind, and he's like on heroin or some shit, and he's like he sees him in the maintenance closet with a needle in his arm. He's like, I can start snooping around this place or whatever. And he finds out that each hotel room has a where the mirror is, it's a double-sided mirror, so people can see inside the rooms. So he goes past Jeff Bridges, and he sees some fucked up shit. And then he goes by the singer, and she's just singing. And then they go to Dakota Johnson, who happens to have somebody kidnapped, tied up in a chair in her room. And you're like, okay, how does all this shit mash together? And so another movie you don't want to go too far on.
No, I think the trailer, the way you've set it up, the trailer, I think did a good job. At least it seems like it. Giving you a bunch of setup and like a bunch of how is this all going to come together? And I think somebody like Drew Goddard can definitely handle something like that.
On Twitter,
really wanted to see this movie.
I saw on Twitter somebody lamenting Drew Goddard's poor bastard fate because he was given that Sinister Six movie by Sony before Sony made a deal with Marvel to do Spider-Man, and so that went out the window. So then Fox gave him X-Force, and now Disney's buying Fox, and X-Force has been shelved.
Yeah.
And, like, Drew Goddard is this great director who can't find a comic book property to direct.
This is the first time I've seen a movie in a long time that had Pulp Fiction aesthetic.
I've heard that. I've heard nothing but good things about this. In fact, Simser saw it when it was in theaters and came on Twitter right away and said, "Go see this movie."
Yeah, it's a whole lot of fun, and that's I mean, in you know, Cabin in the Woods was a lot like that and everything. What I really like about it is sometimes movies are frustrating when they don't tell you what's going on because there's so much to keep track of and everything. And in this one, the what's going on is more you want to see what happens next more than it's confusing or anything like that. It's like when Ham is going through and seeing all these bugs, you're just like, okay, so did they somehow know that this guy was going to end up being in this hotel room and they wanted to bug him or whatever? Especially because Ham is playing a character as the CIA agent. He's playing somebody who's just in on vacation or something like that. So a lot of the stuff that you see, you're like, oh, okay, all right. But you just want to keep seeing how the story progresses. And it's not, like I said, there's some movies that try this and you're just like, God, it's so frustrating. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Nothing's connecting to anything. And then finally, like somewhere towards the 3/4 mark of the movie, it's like, oh, okay. But I've seen a lot of bullshit before I got to that point. And, you know, this one is just always just entertaining throughout. And I was surprised because these type of movies, when you see trailers for movies like this, you're like, that was probably a good attempt. You know,
it could be something like Hotel Artemis, right? Where it's got a ton of great people.
Yeah,
like
and Hotel Artemis is one of those movies. Maybe Hotel Artemis is exactly like that movie I was describing that this movie isn't. Yeah. Because Hotel Artemis has a lot of like, what the fuck is going on? How does this connect? Oh, okay, all right, okay. And there's just too many characters to keep up with. This one's a lot of fun. Like I said, it's got a Pulp Fiction aesthetic to it. It's got, you know, it goes back in time, so you'll see an incident happen, and then you'll see another character from that different perspective. You know, what they were doing at the time and stuff like that. And so those are two movies I've seen recently. I would say go watch them.
I am down with that. I want to see both of those. Yeah. I have a quick warn and then a super high recommendation. My warn is the Fyre documentary on Netflix. Can kiss my ass.
That trailer is you didn't like it?
No.
The trailer made me want to watch it.
Look, all right. I know that this has gotten a lot of press, and I know that the Hulu documentary has gotten a lot of press. Maybe the Hulu documentary is fantastic. You know the story, okay? Maybe you don't know Billy McFarland, like the guy, the CEO that's behind it and everything. This documentary goes out of its way to portray him as like is it Billy Mitchell, the guy in King of Kong? Yeah. It's like that. Basically, we're going to frame him as the villain. Again, starting from that narrative, the conclusion, and then like building your case all the way through. So it's not really technically a documentary. It's completely inessential. So
all right,
don't waste your time on it. Maybe the Hulu one is fantastic. I've actually heard some people say that that's better than
I've heard they're wildly
Netflix
different takes.
Yeah.
So anyway.
But the one that's on Netflix that's really, really good is a show called Sex Education.
Oh, I've heard about this.
I heard about this.
This show is fucking awesome.
I saw the "It's My Vagina" scene. Did you see that?
No. Yeah.
It's like a Spartacus. The principal is like somebody's vagina ended up in a video or a photo, and all these kids in this assembly are standing up going, "It was my vagina. It was my vagina." And the principal's like, "It can't have been all of your vaginas."
Oh, it's so good. This is your boy Asa Butterfield.
Yeah. And somebody else.
Gillian Anderson is his mom, who's a sex therapist. And she is prototypical sex positive sex therapist that has no boundaries whatsoever. She sleeps with a different guy every night. It's all just completely normal. And Asa Butterfield is a kid that can't get laid, that doesn't even want to masturbate. He's not sex averse, but he's just got like some issues with it, which is the polar opposite of what it should be. He's got a gay friend played by Nakuti Gatwa, who's fantastic. Mm-hmm. And they're in high school or secondary school or whatever they call it in fucking Britain. And it's the first day of their high school and everything. And he's trying to make friends and he's trying to stay out of people's way and stuff like that. There's a guy, Connor Swiddles, is the bully type of dude, mm-hmm.
Who's
the son of the headmaster, who's set up as the villain, takes a very quick turn in the first episode. And then there's this super, super hot woman, Emma Mackey, and she's the prototypical outcast, the super sexy outcast that says fuck you to everybody. And it all seems, the way I described it, seems like rote and kind of like cliche and everything. It is completely not. It is. It's a sex comedy in a way that's presented in a way that I've literally never seen before.
Okay.
I watched the first 3 episodes. I haven't watched the whole series yet. But it's awesome. It was like one of my favorite things that I've seen all year.
Wow.
Well, all year now. So it's 2019. But in a long time. Gillian Anderson is so good. Asa Butterfield is great. But like just the story, the writing, the way that they frame sex, especially in the teenage years and everything, how murky it is. The conceit is that Asa Butterfield's character becomes a sex therapist for the kids mm-hmm. to help them work through their sexual issues and things like that. And it's so perfectly presented. I can't wait to watch the rest of it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I want to see that. And is that You TV? Is that the show You? Is that good?
My wife started watching it. And
I haven't seen it, but it's Netflix.
Yeah.
And,
it started off as a Lifetime show.
It did. It's one of the most fascinating fucking things ever because
Yeah.
it didn't start out as a Lifetime show. It just was a Lifetime show.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
no one fucking watched it.
Right.
And they put it on Netflix, and millions of people, like 40 million households, have watched this show.
I saw some people questioning that the other day. They said that there was a big like trend at one point that said like nobody watched this on Lifetime, but now 40 million are watching it on Netflix. Well, there is a little bit more of an access with Netflix than you have with.
Well, in Netflix,
especially if they're pushing it.
Yeah.
Netflix has a brand name now. And so I didn't know that show had ever been on Lifetime.
Me either.
So I would never have watched it on Lifetime. It wasn't on my radar.
Mm-hmm.
It's also interesting. The sex education show that you were talking about, I've heard, is confusing a lot of British viewers because apparently the schools look very Americanized.
Well, it's an American-based school. They have American schools in Britain.
Okay, so that apparently is throwing a lot of British people off.
Yeah,
that it's set in Britain, but the school is all American. Apparently, that's throwing people.
Yeah.
By the way, I hope some of you linguists out there or people who know, I think it's Asa Butterfield. I keep hearing this Asa thing, and it sounds wrong to me. I want to know.
I'm sure I'll look it up.
I think it's As a Butterfield.
Yeah.
I believe
as a Butterfield does.
You should cast me in this movie.
Right. But I want to see that.
It's really good.
All right. Well, that'll do it for this week. Keep going to SinCast presented by CinemaSins on Facebook. Keep going to SoundCloud, our CinemaSins Twitter. We have a Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think they're sort of working out some kinks on the Discord where there's more interaction with. If you're not a patron, you can still get on some of the channels, but I don't know if they've quite gotten everything sorted on that.
Yeah, we are. If you are trying to connect to the Discord, be patient. There was apparently a fan created Discord years ago.
Oh,
and several on the subreddit were using that already, and then we came out with our official Discord because we didn't know that one existed, and the Patreons were mostly the only ones using that, and we're trying to merge.
The wheels are in motion.
So that
Yes.
everyone can have a Discord to chat with us, but then the Patreons also get some special channels within Discord.
Like as of now, I think you have to be a part of Patreon to be a part of most of the channels that are on our Discord. But then we're sort of working on it where this can, like you said, a merge comes in and we can have something for everybody.
That's right. Everybody party together.
Yes. So there's that. And just tell us what you thought about this very episode. But that'll do it for this week. It's Chris Atkins and Jeremy Scott and Barrett Sher. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Comment on our episodes on our SoundCloud page. Check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit. and be sure to visit CinemaSins.com.
Fangering.
She was either a child star or has gone on to be in something else.
She was.
What's crazy is I remember kind of thinking the movie was okay fun.
I did too.
And I just can't imagine how it's going to play.
Ashley Johnson is.
Oh, yeah, she was on
that's the girl from
Growing Pains or whatever.
And she's in the Avengers. And she's the one that fucks Timberlake in The Social Network.
Right. She doesn't know. That's Dakota Johnson that fucks Timberlake.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Wait. It is Dakota Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, I get those two confused.
Well, yeah. Well, Ashley Johnson is really cute. She's really cute.
She's also a voice on an animated something.
Teen Titans Go.
There you go. I know she does
the
she Comic-Con circuit.
She was in 9 Months.
I remember that.
Which is what I remember her from. And then, the Lionheart. She was really young in that.
9 Months is Hugh Grant and
Julianne Moore.
Worst pairing in movie history. But also, great line with Robin Williams, who's the doctor, who's foreign, and he's talking about they're about to do the needle, and he says, "This is why women have the babies. Men can't handle the power." And he sees the size of the needle, and he faints. It's awesome.
That movie came out the same summer that Hugh Grant had the hooker thing.
I know.
happen.
Yikes.
I literally just wrote a sin about that.
Oh, really?
That's such weird synchronicity.
Yeah, it is.
That is weird.
Yeah, like 9 Months they had another line in there that was pretty funny, I thought, where because this is a conception that's happened where they've used condoms and everything like that, or she's used some sort of birth control, and she goes, it's 99.7% effective. It says that right on the box. It's like, they should tell us that it's 0.3 bloody ineffective. you know?
I do remember that scene where they're having sex, and like she's really like horned up and everything, and he starts and he's like, what if the baby sees my penis going in and out of his face? I can't picture that. And she's like, God damn, do it. And he's like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
When my girlfriend got pregnant, I just dumped her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. On the side of the road, right?
I didn't have sex with her.
Yeah.
That was a joke.
Nice.
I obviously stayed with my pregnant girlfriend.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Okay, let's do what we came here for.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be awful. Like, even like bleeping it would be awful.
No.
That's how bad it is.
There's no word in there that we can use. There is. It's really always cool to see when they do this pan shots off the lake. You can always see the building there I used to work at, the Ward building that you came to visit me. It's right on the lake, and you always see that.
That means you would be able to see that building from a setting in the Abel sequel.
Ooh, I haven't got to that part yet.
Twice.
Ooh, very nice.
How's that for a tease?
I'll write something, and then somebody says, "Why don't we do this?" That is not what Chris said, and then and then I won't see it until later, and I'm like, "Oh, you guys, okay." So you get decided to do it the other way. All right, come on.
Where's my shit? Oh, Texas agenda.
What's funny is I have a double inside joke with that, because there's the Home Alone thing where what's her name? Catherine O'Hara says, "Come on!"
Yeah.
But the first trip I ever took to L.A. was with him and our friend Kevin, that we all know. And we went to a Clippers game. And there was a taunter behind us who was taunting the Wizards the whole game. First, there was some player whose name was Nene. And this guy was going, no, Nene! No, Nene!
Yeah.
And then at one point, there was a player named Kevin, and he was just going, Kevin! Kevin! And so the whole rest of the trip, I was doing that to our Kevin.
Yeah.
Where out of the blue, I would just go, Kevin!
Yeah.
Anyway.
That wasn't a great Stefan bit where he's like, New York's hottest club is Kevin? That's one that cracked him up, actually.
They all cracked him up. Did you
know?
see Frank and I's pitch last night on Twitter for Pineapple Express prequel with Bill Hader's character? Called
I think it's fucking great.
Item 9. He actually tagged Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg.
I had somebody on Facebook who's like, your thing about Bruce Greenwood being the president.
Oh yeah,
and everything. Like I would like to make a TV show where he plays an actor playing the president, but the values of the president on the show don't match the values of the actual actor, and he has to constantly deal with that and whatever.
Awesome.
And I was like, I think you should pitch that.
Yeah, man.
And he said, I just tweeted at Bruce Greenwood.
there you go. You could call it Bruce Greenwood as a president.
We could do the Bruce Greenwood.
We could.
Podcast.
Bruce Greenwood's got about 150, 160 credits somewhere around there.
He sure does.
I also did a very inside baseball that I'm probably going to cut, like Chicago geography sin. That's like 5 lines.
No, really?
I don't know. Sometimes when you get to that point, it gets better because
he's in
it's long.
Streeterville right here, but then he goes down to the West Loop, and now he's out in fucking Oak Park.
If you start doing a MapQuest thing like we did with Godzilla, it works fine. Because when they do movies in Manhattan, I swear to God, they're always somewhere completely fucking ridiculous, and they're like, "Let's go to the Brooklyn Bridge," and you're like, "You're gonna have to do this to get to Brooklyn Bridge," and they just end up being there immediately. Yes, the first time I ever saw Bruce Greenwood was in the movie Exotica.
Oh,
wow. I remember that.
He's a
movie.
Canadian actor, and that's a Canadian movie.
Is that the one with Mia Kirshner?
Yes.
Yeah, Adam McGoyan.
Yeah, Adam McGoyan. Yeah.
Jeez, he was in First Blood.
Get out of here.
Yeah, he's guardsman number 5.
Well,
it'd be funny if he played the president in First Blood.
Yeah. Oh my God, that'd be awesome. It's funny though when you go through it, it's like, oh, okay, he's only been president like maybe 3 times or whatever, but like, it's a great narrative.
It does feel like. I mean, it has been at least 3 times.
Yeah, it's been at least 3 times.
Yeah, we should really do the research on that at some point. That Supergirl show is going to have Lex Luthor on the show. Guess who they hired to play it? John Cryer.
Oh, what?
Exactly.
He shaved his head for something else fairly recently,
but he still looks like bald John Cryer. It doesn't look like Lex Luthor.
No. He looks like what Jesse Eisenberg would be 30 years later.
Yes.